Summary of Animal Farm Chapter 3. Down to the ducks and hens, every animal works hard to bring in the hay. Boxer and Clover know the subtleties of bringing in hay, whereas the pigs are intelligent enough to find out how to do it without standing on two legs and using equipment. Due of their intelligence, pigs do not work but instead acquire positions of leadership. The animals bring in the hay in less time than Mr. Jones ever did, and the crop is larger than it has ever been. Throughout the summer, everything functions flawlessly. The animals are ecstatic to be able to consume their own food without having to share it with humans. Some tasks prove challenging, such as threshing the corn without a threshing machine, but the pigs are intelligent enough to figure out a solution, and Boxer is strong enough to pull them through. Everyone admires Boxer because he appears to be as powerful as 3 horses and rises 30 minutes earlier than everyone else to perform labor where it is required. His new mantra is "I shall work harder." With the exception of Mollie and the cat, all the animals labor as hard as they can. Mollie struggles to rise in the morning and frequently quits work early due to pebbles in her hooves, whilst the cat disappears during work hours and reappears at mealtimes with plausible explanations. Since the insurrection, Benjamin appears unaffected. When questioned if life is better without Mr. Jones, he repeated cryptically that donkeys live long lives and that no one has ever seen it ed donkey. On Animal Farm, there is no Sunday work. The animals hoist a flag that's Snowball decorated with a white foot and horn on a green field after a late breakfast. The animals then attend a meeting in the large barn, where they discuss the upcoming week's tasks and debate proposed resolutions. The only ones who propose resolutions are the pigs, while Napoleon and Snowball are the most active debaters. However, they never seem able to reach a consensus on anything. The conference concludes with Beasts of England. The pigs choose the harness room as their headquarters and spend their evenings reading novels from the home. Snowball forms committees such as the Egg Production Committee and the Wider Wool Movement, but these initiatives fail. His lone success is in the reading and writing lessons. By the fall, every animal is semi-literate. The canines are taught to read well, but just the 7 commandments. Benjamin is completely literate but refuses to read, whereas Muriel learns to read and reads aloud the newspaper. Clover learns the entire alphabet but cannot read, whereas Boxer only learns the first 4 letters. Meanwhile, Mollie only learns to spell her name. The less intelligent animals, such as sheep, fail to memorize the 7 commandments and only learn the letter Snowball simplifies them to the dictum 4 legs are good, 2 legs are bad. Snowball explains to the birds, who do not have hands, that what makes humans nasty is their hands, but birds lack hands. Everyone else also learns the adage, and the sheep spend hours repeating it. Napoleon is interested in the 9 puppies that are born to the dogs shortly after the hay harvest. He believes that it is more necessary to educate the children than to teach everyone else to read. Therefore, he takes them to educate himself. The other animals quickly forget about the puppies, but they do notice that the missing milk ends up in the pig's slop. The pigs insist on receiving all of the fallen apples, which the other animals expected would be distributed equally. Squealer argues that the pigs are brain workers who require milk and apples to care for everyone else. If they do not receive them, Mr. Jones will return. The animals recognize his point and remain silent when the majority of the apple harvest is given to the pigs. Analysis of Chapter 3 Animal Farm. Though it seems like everything is going smoothly, note that the pigs are already elevating themselves above the rest of the animals by assuming leadership positions rather than laboring physically. This again is an indicator that class divisions are developing on Animal Farm, and that the pigs are the ones who will end up assuming privileged, upper-class roles in this society. Boxer is a representation of male peasants in the USSR. The success of Animal Farm, which represents the Soviet Union, rests on these peasants performing as much labor as possible, something that Boxer throws himself into with gusto. His personal motto suggests, however, that he's overly idealistic and is putting the ideals of the revolution above his own self-interest in a way that, in the end, won't serve him. Meanwhile, Benjamin broadly represents intellectuals who, the novel suggests, could see what was going to come. His cryptic answers suggest that he's aware that revolutions happen on a cycle, and that the farm will inevitably find itself right back where it started. On paper, the system that the animals work out should work for everyone. In theory, everyone gets a say in what happens. However, it's still telling that the pigs are the only ones who ever speak up. They do this because of their education and their rising class status, while the animals' willingness to go along with this suggests that they'll be easily manipulated into giving up their voices in the future. The different animals' varying degrees of literacy, as well as what they choose to read once literate, speak to how class will continue to develop thanks to language. The dog's choice to read only the 7 commandments suggests that they'll become loyal to the cause and are uninterested in truly educating themselves, while Muriel's willingness to read newspapers suggests an interest in the outside world and possibly another ideas of how life should be. Coming up with this maxim illustrates how easy it can be to distill somewhat complex ideas into an easily digestible, easily repeatable phrase that lacks nuance. It's impossible to tell, from the phrase, that Snowball's explanation should actually be correct, but because of his grasp of language, he can essentially make the maxim mean whatever he wants it to. Notice that when Napoleon insists on educating the young, the only young he seems truly interested in educating are the puppies, that is, children of a literate, somewhat powerful class, not the offspring of any of the cows, sheep, or chickens. Doing this allows Napoleon to start to dictate who's worthy of education, and through doing so, dictate who's able to move up the class system and gain power. Squealer's insistence that the pigs need the milk and apples because of their work shows that the pigs are already beginning to take advantage of the system they've set up.